Coming this fall from SJS Direct in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. You can pre-order your copy of The Man Crisis today on Amazon.com. Men have been leaving the workforce ever since the Great Recession. And today, we only have about 7% of men these days actively looking for full-time employment. And one of the reasons why so many men have left the American workforce is what I call the HR brick wall. Now, the HR brick wall is not a physical wall. It is a wall created by female human resource employees and beta male human resource employees that prevents men from being able to enter the workforce. Now, human resource departments in most major American corporations are run primarily by women. And most human resource departments, because they are run by women, have something going on in the social interactions called female-owned group preference. And that means a woman who interviews another woman would usually prefer that woman even if there was a equally qualified man for that exact same job. And what exacerbates this situation of female-owned group preference is the fact that many of these women who come out of universities have been indoctrinated to this feminist culture, and they believe that many women are still being oppressed here in America, and because women are oppressed here in America, they believe that they have to make things equal by applying their female-owned group preference to hire more women and not hire men. And because these women use their female-owned group preference to hire women, this is why America's workforce today is a majority women. And this majority of women, what they have done is they created this HR brick wall. And this HR brick wall is something that most men just can't get over in order to find full-time employment. And because many of these men, when they go out and submit resumes at things like job fairs or apply for jobs online, they run into this HR brick wall over the course of months, or as in the case of my own life, 9 years. What they do is they become frustrated, they become angry, and they just become discouraged from applying for full-time jobs because they realize that there is no way they can overcome this HR brick wall erected by all of these women who are working in the human resources department and even the managers of some departments. And because they just can't get over the HR brick wall, this is why so many men have decided to just opt out of the American job market and have decided to go on to go try to pursue other ventures in order to make a living. Because when it comes down to this HR brick wall, this is something I ran into myself when I took the civil service test for CUNY office assistant after I lost my job in 2008. Now, I took a second civil service test and I ran right into the HR brick wall. And the HR brick wall, again, is these females, and when they're erecting this wall up, these women put on defensive body language. They make no effort to ask any man any sort of questions as related to the job, and they are very, very hostile towards male candidates for employment. And in that situation, usually men don't get hired and women get hired instead, and that's what leads to discrimination that men just can't prove because when it comes down to this HR brick wall, what happens is because companies get tax breaks and tax credits for hiring women, they can get away with discriminating against men. And that's how the HR brick wall works, because it is partially funded and supported by the United States government. And they believe that by hiring more women, it's going to lead to a diverse workforce. Unfortunately, what it does is it prevents men from entering the workforce and being able to compete in the workforce. Because as a guy myself who has been out of work for so long, the HR brick wall has literally prevented me from being able to find full-time employment. And when it comes down to, again, these people who are in HR, in most cases, again, they are extremely hostile towards men in these interviews. They have really nasty attitudes towards men. They have they really do not try to answer any sort of questions. And when it comes down to black men, some of them can be downright racist and discriminatory. And some of the black women, what they will do is they will start projecting their past experiences from boyfriends and husbands onto you and use that as a reason not to hire you. While others who don't want to compete with men because men can work longer hours and men are long-term thinkers, they will make efforts to prevent men from getting jobs in a company because they are afraid that if this man enters the workforce and he has better skills than she does or is a better critical thinker than she does, what will happen is he will surpass her and then eventually move ahead of her. And that's another reason why some managers erect HR brick walls in their companies, because they fear competition from men who have lots of talent. However, what happens when companies have these women erecting these HR brick walls is they impede their own growth, because what happens is if you don't have talented men, creative men, and imaginative men, what happens is you can't create new markets, you can't create new products, you can't create derivative products, and you can't reach new audiences. Because when you have this HR brick wall up that keeps talent from coming in, you don't have someone who can create products that go out in a company. And when you don't have people who create products that go out in a company, that company cannot grow, that company cannot expand, and that company can't go out here and hire new employees that will help the business improve its products. Because when it comes down to most women in the workplace, most women want to nest, and they want to nest because that's part of their female nature. So they really don't want much to change, and that's another reason why they erect the HR brick wall. Most women want the company to stay the same and provide the same products, provide the same services, because they want an environment that's comfortable for them. But business is not about comfort. Business is about competition, and part of competition is being comfortable with change. And most men are comfortable with change because they know they have to adapt in order to survive. They have to develop new skills in order to survive. They have to create new marketplaces, reach new customers, and reach new customer bases if they hope to survive. And that means making yourself vulnerable, making yourself open, and trying to foster and build relationships with people. But women don't want to do that. Again, their nature is nesting, their nature is protecting the nest, and part of protecting that nest is erecting that HR brick wall. And the HR brick wall is only the first line of defense for most of these females. The second line is the group of beta males they hire to work for them. Now, these beta males, their job is to protect the company and protect the women in the company. And their job is also to do the work of the women while they nest. And again, all of these women, what they do with this HR brick wall is, again, impede the long-term growth of a business, because when you have an HR brick wall, what that does is it prevents talent from coming in, products from going out, and prevents a business from expanding. And it also costs you good talent, because if anyone disagrees with the females in the business, they then report them to human resources on charges and then use this as a reason for termination. So instead of a business serving the customer, it eventually devolves into a fiefdom that serves the female. And I've seen this in municipal jobs like the ones I had at City College of New York. And that's not an environment you want to be in, because it's not an environment anyone can develop and grow in. Because when it comes down to businesses with an HR brick wall and a gynocentric fiefdom, there is no ability for a person to develop new skills, learn valuable work experience, or start working towards that next job, because everything is about comfort. And because you're comfortable, you don't think about trying to develop those new skills or take on those new challenges. You just wind up nesting like the females. And as you nest, what happens is you wind up becoming sloppy and you wind up stagnating, because that's what happens in companies with the HR brick wall. Nothing grows, nothing changes. And then when competitors come up, we see these companies not able to survive, and they wind up going out of business because they don't have men there who can work towards adapting towards a changing marketplace. Because that whole foundation for that company's decline started in the human resource department, because when you have females working in the human resources department, they're not out actively looking to recruit talent that will make the company competitive. They're out looking for beta males and females on their female own group preference that will make them comfortable and feel good. But again, business is not about feeling good. Business is a place of competition. Business is a place about making profits. And when it comes down to companies with HR brick walls created by females, nothing profits the company. It's all about profiting the women in the company, and that prevents that company from ever being able to take itself to the next level. If you want to learn more about the HR brick wall, you can pick up my new book, The Man Crisis, when it comes out this October. You can pre-order the ebook version on Kindle today by clicking the link in the description box, or you can wait for the paperback coming this October. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.